Throughout history, there have always been rivalries between two parties, America versus the UK, Microsoft versus Apple, DC versus Marvel. All of these have their own fan base, with some being more toxic than others. But I don't know any fan base as toxic as K-pop.
Hold up.
Now hold on. I'm a K-pop fan too. I was introduced to the magnificent world of K-pop during the end of the first generation, although I consider myself to be more familiar with the second gen, and of course third gen. Anywho, growing up in the States during the early 2010s, K-pop wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is now. However, Japan didn't share the same lack of popularity compared to the rest of the world. I should note, when I say K-pop, I'm referring to idol K-pop. Yes, I know other genres of K-pop are popular as well, but nowhere near as popular as idol K-pop music. Believe me, I would love to talk about Sonny and Jessie and some old school Bumkey, but perhaps in another video. Tell you what, if I get more than 500 likes in this video, then I'll do it. I'll go through the whole history of K-pop and R&B, but for now, we're gonna explore the history of K-pop and its influence in Japan. As always, to gain a better understanding of the topic as a whole, we need to look at the history of K-pop. I gotta admit, I learned a lot of interesting things while researching this. Heck, I even learned a new genre of music. You'd be surprised how many people think the first popular K-pop musician in Japan was Boa. Surprisingly, Korean pop music was always somewhat popular in Japan. The thing is, this influence came from Japan's imperialist rule of South Korea from 1910 to 1945. Some of the most popular musicians during this time spanned it from the 1930s and the 60s, and their names were... I do not speak Korean, so my ability to pronounce these names will be a little off. I'll do my best to pronounce the names, but I will surely butcher it. On with the video. Choi Gyu-yup. According to Wikipedia, he was the first Korean singer to gain strong following in the Japanese music industry. He was known for singing a song called Arirang. It's a famous Korean folk song. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any more information on this man. Not even a picture. Lee Nan-young. Another singer from the 30s, Lee Nan-young, started her career as a singer at a local movie theater. But on a side note, she trained her children to become musicians and formed the Kim Sisters, which was a popular group in America during the 50s. And then there's Akiko Wada. Finally, a name I can pronounce. This woman was a little different from others. Not only is she a singer, but also a talento, or talent, whichever you prefer. On top of that, you could say she was a bit progressive for her time. In a country where women's looks are highly valued, she threw a curveball with her more, masculine appearance? Despite her appearance, she also had an incredibly unique voice. And by unique, I mean deep. Really, really deep. Most famous Korean singers during these times would sing trot music. I love the way that name sounds, trot. It sounds like some kind of hardcore rap music. Trot is basically the equivalent of enka. And enka, well, it's old people pop music. Well, I'm kidding. Sorta. It's just an older form of Korean pop music, which took inspiration from Japanese enka during the time Japan ruled over Korea. I would love to talk more about trot music and its history, but in another video. So, please subscribe. Now we need to talk about the man of legend, Korea's first national singer, Choi Young-pil. Not only was he popular in Korea, hence being dubbed national singer, he transcended Korea and rose to popularity in Japan in 1986 with his debut album, A Lost Child of Memory. Naturally, all these songs had influence on the popularity of modern K-pop, but If there's one thing I've learned from the music industry, sometimes there are outside factors that will influence an entire genre. Fast forward to the 2000s, and we have reached a point where Crystal K and BoA have debuted. Granted, Crystal K was born in Japan, but her ethnicity is Black and Korean. And during the 90s, Japan was still having a hard time understanding the concept of someone not looking Japanese while being Japanese. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've met who have called her the hafu, or half, who sings Japanese. Really, Japan? Come on, man. Anyway, I digress. BoA had immense popularity in Japan despite being born and raised in Korea. However, I can't say she did much to promote K-pop. Yes, she was popular in Japan, but for her Japanese songs. Of course, Japanese citizens know she is Korean, but are only familiar with her Japanese albums, for the most part. True, current K-pop idols have Japanese versions of their songs, at least the popular groups, but that's becoming less mandatory considering many young Japanese teens prefer the Korean versions. But what really pushed K-pop in Japan was just so unexpected and random. It was all due to a Korean drama called Winter Sonata. Now, I actually remember downloading this drama when I was going through my K-drama craze phase. It was cheesy, overdramatic, and basically like one of my grandma's soap operas. But damn, was it entertaining. And Japan loves their overdramatic dramas, anything that tugs the heartstrings, and affair dramas. Lots and lots of affair dramas. But this drama pushed the interest of Korean entertainment, and of course, K-pop is a type of entertainment. So with all of that being said, I would like to introduce you to what I would call the mother and father of modern K-pop in Japan. Behold, my father, Big Bang. And then my mother, Girls' Generation. Big Bang, Big Bang, Big Bang. Who doesn't know Big Bang? Well, just in case, here's a quick rundown. Big Bang made their debut in 2006 and was part of YM Entertainment. Big Bang was an overnight success in Korea, and they carried that success to Japan in 2008 when they released their Japanese album, For the World, which ranked number 10 on the Oricon charts. As for the Girls' Generation formed in 2007 and was part of SM Entertainment. Okay, calm down. SM isn't that evil. Their first Japanese single was released in 2010, the Japanese version of Genie. By the way, here's a fun fact. In Japan, the group isn't called Girls' Generation. They're called Shoujo Jidai, which is a direct translation for Girls' Generation. Later, in 2011, they released their first studio album titled Girls' Generation and became the first foreign girl group to rank number 1 on the Oricon charts and sell over 1 million copies. From this point, K-pop skyrocketed in Japan, and just when everyone thought K-pop was at its highest point, then this guy happened. Do I really need to explain Psy's Gangnam Style? This song was literally an international phenomenon. It was even the first video in YouTube history to reach 1 billion views. Now, we're entering the golden age of K-pop. While the rest of the world was easing their way into K-pop, South Korean music companies doubled down hard in Japan. How so? Well, by introducing groups such as Kara, 2PM, EXO, SHINee, TVXQ, Red Velvet, AOO, 21, and Sistar. Just to name a few. Ever since K-pop has become mainstream, there has been a debate on which is better, K-pop or J-pop. Oh God. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. I don't plan on dying by death of YouTube comments. Instead, I'd rather talk about their differences and why K-pop has such an appeal in Japan. So, let's talk about K-pop first. In terms of the music video style, K-pop tends to have a more mature feel compared to J-pop. This is easily seen with female groups. Of course, there are plenty of K-pop videos with the cutesy style, but it still seems more mature than, let's say, the live-action Idol Masters concert or Juice Juice or HKT48. For teens, many find it to be more exciting and refreshing than the overly dramatic Japanese boy and girl groups. Once again, this is just a small observation, and I know plenty of girls who have the hots for Sho Hirano from King and Prince. Of course, it's not only MVs where K-pop and J-pop have their differences. The meat of it comes from the musical style. Now, I want to keep this video simple, so I won't go deep into music theory, but the easiest way to explain the difference is just by understanding the genre's goal. J-pop is J-pop. Yeah, I know that sounds redundant, but what I mean is J-pop is meant to cater to a Japanese audience. J-pop uses a variety of scales that give a unique sound. These scales are called Miyakoboshi scale, Minyo scale, Ritsu scale, and Ryukyu scale. There's a great video by Music Theory for Guitar that explains all the scales in detail, so I'll leave a link in the description below. But as I was saying, a combination of these scales is what gives Japanese music its traditional or poppy happy sound. You can hear this in multiple Japanese songs, whether it be J-pop, J-rock, even J-rap. Now K-pop. K-pop took its inspiration from Western styles of music, American pop, R&B, hip-hop, European music. Do you want to listen to some hippity hop in your K-pop? Well, listen to Blackpink. Or, if I may give a shout out, 4 Minutes Crazy. Great song. Really great song. You want to listen to some R&B? Listen to Spica or Mamamoo. American pop? Basically any Exceed song. If you're still having trouble believing me on this Western influence, well, Teddy Riley, a music producer who worked with Keith Sweat and Guy, has also worked with Girls' Generation and Jay Park. Then there's Harvey Mason Jr., who worked on songs with Toni Braxton and Justin Timberlake, and then has written songs for BoA, SHINee, TVXQ, and EXO. I even personally know someone who has worked on Girls' Generation's latest album. Now for me, I can't decide which I enjoy more. Actually, I'm lying. Yes, I can. I prefer K-pop idol music over J-pop idol music, but I will be fair and say when it comes to rock, Japan is king, if that softens the blow. Now, I've come up with some theories on why K-pop has such a strong appeal in Japan. These ideas are based on facts I've gathered, people I know, growing up in a Japanese community, and simply just from living in Japan for years. The first one would be social acceptance. This applies more toward female groups, but J-idol girl groups have a stigma for being popular with otaku. Of course, not everyone is an otaku, but it's more common for otaku to flock toward J-idols. Female J-idols. This is because men enjoy the pure, young, and cutesy style of female idol groups. And of course, there are female otaku who are obsessed with the boy groups, but the numbers are much lower compared to men. Let's say 25-year-old Takeshi likes listening to Nogizaka 46. He's just an average guy who buys their CDs and sings their songs. In Japan, guys listening to J-idol groups can be a little creepy due to the perceived image. Which, that stereotypical image is a sweaty dude holding a glow stick and singing and dancing along. Now let's say 25-year-old Naoto, who is just like Takeshi, but listens to Twice. No one thinks much of it because there isn't a negative perception of guys in Japan listening to K-pop. And that's when it hit me. It all comes down to accessibility. It's easy for the Japanese to see their favorite J-idols in Japan because, well, they live in Japan. However, K-pop idols are different. they aren't in Japan all the time. Their main audience is South Korea. The funny thing is, if you go to South Korea and look at the scene with K-pop idols, then you will realize that South Korea has the same problem as Japan when it comes to otaku. And that's because they have easier access to seeing these girls. So naturally, the socially awkward can gather to meet them. Although, I believe otaku in Korea is lower compared to Japan. However, criticism from netizens towards K-pop idols is a lot harsher compared to J-pop. Hence, the toxic K-pop community. Okay. My other reason. The portrayal of K-pop in Japanese media. K-pop idols are seen as more mature, elegant, and less hypersexualized compared to J-idols. There's something to be said about Japan openly creating gravure photo books for J-idols who are as young as 15 years old. Yeah, I'm aware every culture is different, but in a country where 20 years old is the age of adulthood, it's a little odd to see girls so young flashing their little bitties, or tiggle bitties for perverted men. As of now, K-pop is still going strong in Japan, TWICE and BTS being the new powerhouse in Japan. Internationally, I would say Blackpink is more popular. I'm just teasing. Kinda like how Blackpink does with their inconsistent comebacks. Oops. No, but seriously, K-pop in Japan is doing well for itself. However, recently there haven't been any K-pop songs that have reached the top 10 in the Oricon charts. Then again, you have to remember K-pop, specifically K-pop idol music, has to compete with multiple genres on the charts. And no offense to the Oricon charts, but it's hard to take some of these sales seriously when 3 of the top 10 sales in Japan are Idol Master songs. I believe when the K-pop craze dies out internationally, it'll still be popular in Japan. K-pop was popular in Japan before it reached international success. So, I see no reason why it would die out after. There you go, guys. Another video complete. What do you guys think of the whole influence of K-pop in Japan? I don't want to start a war, but which do you think is better, J-pop or K-pop? And do you think K-pop can stay relevant in Japan for years to come? Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the bell to be notified for when more videos come out. And yeah, enjoy life, enjoy music. Peace.